The Santino Bros Wrestling Academy has been teaching people how to wrestle since 2007. The school was founded in a backyard in Norwalk by 23-year wrestling veteran Joey Munoz. Joey Munoz has been wrestling since he was 14 years old, and he says he's had the time of his life.
I got married on a wrestling show. I met my wife. She was the merch girl at XPW. My life has been wrapped around wrestling 24/7. I have the dojo here at 5640 Shoal Street in Bell Gardens, and I live right across the street. And so it's a 24/7 job, whether it's marketing. It's given me freedom, to not have to, and it hasn't been easy, to not have to have a 9-to-5 job. I become an entrepreneur at a wrestling school to avoid a 9-to-5 job, but I end up working, 80 hours a week, sometimes more. Sometimes it's just constant. But what has wrestling given to me? It's given me everything.
The school currently resides in a storage garage in Bell Gardens, where classes are taught by Munoz and other trainers. Much like his wrestling career, Munoz says he fell into the wrestling school business.
I never thought about running a wrestling school. Like everybody else that probably comes into the wrestling school, I had aspirations, once I got in to be, the world champion. I never dreamt about, running my own wrestling school, but I've learned that, I was better at running a wrestling school than I was, maybe being a networking wrestler. And I've had more success running a wrestling school than being a wrestler myself. But the wrestling school stuff has actually opened a lot of doors for me. It opened the doors for me to wrestle with Lucifer, which we opened for a band, and we wrestled all over the United States. And that happened because of the wrestling school. So, the wrestling school's really opened a lot of doors for me. And, as I'm older now, I'm 38 years old. I started when I was 14, taking the bumps and seeing these young guys go in there and do it. I feel like, man, I don't want to get roughed up by these guys anymore because I'm not young.
The walls of the storage garage are decorated with wrestling memorabilia, including event posters, t-shirts, banners, lucha libre masks, and the ring where students train on a weeknight. On one of the banners, the school's motto, "Keep the Dream Alive," hangs on the wall. Students are taught by multiple trainers based on the level of experience, ranging from beginners courses to semi-pro courses. Santino Bros also holds one-day tryouts for those with no experience trying to figure out if they want to commit to the school. But for Santino Bros graduate and wrestler Kenny Marquez, he says he's been preparing for wrestling his entire life.
Growing up, I watched a lot of Lucha Libre, so a lot of the Mexican style of wrestling. My parents were huge professional wrestling fans back in Mexico, so I loved the acrobatics. I loved all the the flips and stuff. So at a young age, I knew I would be a wrestler, and I knew that I wanted to set myself apart. So I started gymnastics, and I always knew that the end goal was to incorporate that into my wrestling.
For other students like Daniel Robinall, wrestling has taught him more than how to body slam people and put people in arm bars.
Just growing up and being able to live my dream and making great friends in the wrestling business, and just growing as a man and as a person.
Robinall's father, Ruben Robinall, says he's been very supportive of his son's career.
We know it's a hard activity. If it's gonna pay, who knows? But you have to do what you like, otherwise you're gonna be miserable. So we like that he's putting the effort and he's following his dreams.
Joey says teaching students like Robinall and Marquez is everything he's worked for.
And I always tell them, every day that they're in here, whether we have a beginner's class or whatever the case is, I tell them, you guys are 20 times better than I ever was at the 2 years that you're in, the 6 months that you're in, the 1 week that you're in, you're actually 10 times, 20 times better than I ever was. And so to see my students, blossom and, and do big things, like Famous B on Lucha Underground, and to see like Heather Monroe, show up on Monday Night Raw, it's really inspiring to me, to all the hard work that we put in, because we put in a lot of hard work with these with the students. We're here in, day out. Like when I started training, it was at best once a week. So here we have a minimum of 3 times a week when we have our wrestlers come in. So we're putting a lot of work into them, and it's not just me as a trainer, it's Robbie Phoenix, it's Eli Everfly, we have Jervis Cottonbelly here. So we have a variety of trainers that help these guys out, and when to see them blossom is a great feeling.
You can visit the school's website for more information on their upcoming trial camps and beginners courses. From KCSN News, I'm Mario Saucedo.